Welcome to Yoga for Balance and Bones. Again, the list of the props that you need are in the YouTube video. So if you ever are curious on a link, open the link, look at the description of the class. I usually give something very brief, and that's where your information will be on props. So we're gonna start lying on the ground, but if you do have a foam roller, have that handy. Otherwise, just bring your blankets with you. You're gonna start lying on the ground with your knees bent, feet hip width apart. It's a sunny day here. I hope you all have sunshine. I can see Sue's got sunshine and Karen's got some sun coming in. She's got her shorts too. It was cool at 8:30 this morning, I tell ya. So starting on your back, feet hip width apart, and you can put the blanket underneath your head, but just for a moment, if you will. Try no blanket and take a few breaths there. And what I would like you to do in that position without the support underneath your head, those of you who are like me, who have tight upper back and shoulders, you're gonna be like, this is not comfortable. Correct, but it's okay. Be with it for just a couple of seconds. Take a few deep inhales and exhales as you settle in and start to feel maybe your shoulders are kind of lifted from the floor so they're not connected. You don't have that support underneath your head. So we're just lying on our back, Nancy, feet hip width apart, no support. Bring that with you, yeah. And so for a lot of us, if we don't have support underneath our head, which is just brief for a moment, because I want you to do a test, you might be feeling that your chin is kind of sticking up, your shoulders are pulling up off of the mat, maybe even there's an arch in your back, so your ribs are kind of lifted. So that's just things I want you to check in with. Maybe your pelvis might be affected, but it's more gonna be from your rib cage up that you're gonna feel the need for support. Good, we all good? We've checked in, we know where we are. Now turn to your side. And what I want you to do is, if you do not have a foam roller, you're gonna take your blanket and you're gonna make a considerable size, chunky roll. My mom used to make those things. She would buy like a slab of sponge cake from the grocery store that had no flavor and taste, and then she'd put like whipped cream in it and jam and roll it up. So she was so proud of herself. It had no taste. Even as children, we're like, eh. So this is what you're making, okay? And if you do have a foam roller, great, have your foam roller handy. It doesn't really matter. One or the other will be great. One's gonna have a little bit more feedback because it's firmer. So you're gonna lie with it. So you can see right here, it's underneath my armpit. Yeah, knees are bent, that's it, Heather, good. And then maybe you can clasp your hands behind your head. You just landed on a beach in Mexico and you're like, oh my, this is lovely. Hands behind your head. Elbows are kind of reaching towards the corners of the room, and let your head rest in the cradle of your palms. So you're not resting your head on the ground, your head is elevated, but it's not like, no tension in here, front of the neck, right? Okay, and then from here, you're gonna just kind of arch your back a little bit and maybe look behind you at the wall behind you and then come back up. And do that a couple of times. So we don't want anything to change in our pelvis. So keep your pelvis anchored. You're just gonna allow yourself to roll over it and come back. And again, it might be a little intense with the foam roller. The choice is yours. It's definitely gonna affect our soft tissue a little bit more. So maybe you wanna move with your breath. We inhale and use the exhale to come back up. Let me see you guys doing it, team. Yeah. Good, one more time, Karen, nice. Good, and then move a little higher up. So shimmy your bum towards the roll like another inch. Yeah, that's it, good. Again, your head is being cradled by your interlaced fingers. You're letting your chin tuck in, and you're gonna focus on your upper back, and you're gonna do the same thing. Maybe your range is less. I don't want you to go to a point of pain. Giselle, can you bend your knees and put your feet flat on the floor for me while you're doing this? Just to make sure you're keeping your back in a neutral position. So anchor through your feet. Same thing, we're just moving around the rib cage a little bit differently. Good. And now shimmy away from the roll. So shimmy your bum closer to your feet by several inches. So you're going to bypass stage one. You're going to go right to the tops of your shoulders, not on your neck. So below your neck, but right where your kind of rib cage and, shoulder blades are. And you're going to do the same thing. Up and down just a little bit. You're going to see the movement is going to be so minimal. Yeah, so the roller is right behind your shoulder blades, Nancy. So it's higher up. Whoop, that won't work. So like shoulder blades. So not on your neck, below your neck, but still above your armpits. So you're still cradling your head, feet are still bent. Yeah. And if your neck is on the roll, then you're too far down towards your feet. So you'll have to shimmy higher up. Yeah, and now play around with it. Maybe just rock left to right. Maybe move yourself a little bit more in a position that you're feeling something, right? So we want to make sure that it has some kind of relevance to you. Everyone's going to feel tightness or tension in different areas. So up and down, left to right, side to side, just gentle, gentle, gentle. They are tiny movements. Good, and now we're going to go back to our check-in, if you will, and you're going to roll to the side, take that off of your mat, and then land back where we started. There may be a possibility that some of you may be able to lie with your chin more flush with the ceiling, right? More parallel, less of a chin lift, right? Maybe you feel more of your rib cage connected or your shoulders more connected. So the whole point was to just kind of warm up the tissues of the upper back, which are going to help our arm movements later on in our functional movements. And even still, if you need support underneath your head, that's fine, no problem. I don't expect you like all your tension to dissolve in that minute and a half that we did that rolling of the thoracic spine. But it's a really nice way to start and feel ourselves maybe a little bit more connected to the earth. And here, again, palms to the sky. Just take a couple more breaths, team. Yep, no foam roll, just a head support if needed. And then when you're ready, hug your right knee in towards your chest in this position. You're gonna just do some nice little ankle circles. Right knee, right ankle. Circle in one direction, circle in the other. Focusing on your breath, nice fluid inhales and exhales through the nose. And then from this angle, you're gonna see my right leg. This is my right leg, you're seeing it as my left. I want you to try and just move it out and in. And those of you who've got that tight inner thigh, you're gonna definitely feel that in your groin maybe. Maybe some of us are going to feel it in our knee. So move to a point that is relevant for you, but not painful. So open and close your leg like it's a door. Yeah. And again, your pelvis is staying on the ground. You're not swaying or doing any kind of Elvis Presley wiggles. I don't know. Elvis in the pelvis, you know my terminology I use for that all the time. And then go back, return that right foot to the ground, do the same thing. Hug the left knee in towards your chest. You can hold on top of the shin or behind the knee, whatever works best for your body today. Nice big ankle circles for me, Dina? Yeah. Big circles, but slow. No quickies. Good, make sure you've changed directions for me. Good, and now you can use your left hand if you're using your left knee in your hand, and you're gonna open and close that knee like it's a door. Just here, yeah. But the pelvis is not tilting, right? Notice that that right hip is gonna wanna come off the ground, so only move to a range that your right hip stays planted and even. Good. Perfection. Hug both knees into your chest. Grab, if again, the tops of your knees or the tops of your shins or underneath your knees. And now both of them are going to open wide. Anchor your tailbone down, so try not to let your bum lift up off of the ground. Draw your toes back towards your kneecaps, and you are currently in a squat. Yes? Same shape. Neutral spine, so hug those knees in, Giselle. Hug the knees in towards your chest. Yeah, and then pull them wide with your hands, knees wide. Yeah, draw your toes back towards your kneecaps, like you're standing on your feet. Yeah, and this is your squat. So where our body is already going, oh, I know this shape. It's a pretty deep squat when you're on your back and there's no gravitational forces, right? Or strength required, more mobility. Place your feet on the ground, turn to your side, and come on up. So looking at you from this angle, you all look very proficient in your squat mechanics, right? It's a great way to start practicing. We're gonna do some kneeling work. So if kneeling does not work for you, you're gonna stand and place one foot on the seat of the chair. If you're able to kneel, place your knees on a soft surface to add some support for you. And again, if you are not kneeling today, you're gonna stand in front of a chair and place one foot on the seat of the chair, holding one hand at the backrest. So both hips, feel your hips, feel the bony protrusions in the front of your pelvis. Yes, now take your left leg out to the left as much as you can without the pelvis twisting. Remember on your back, I said open and close your knee like a door without your pelvis twisting. Do the same thing here. Let your knee go out as wide as it can. If you're using a chair, make sure you have support somewhere and then lunge into that knee. Hello, Nancy, inner thigh, stretching. Good. Woo-wee. Oh, she's a doozy. And then come back at a little bit more of an angle. So start to walk your left foot closer to the front of your mat, but not quite. So not out to the side, not in front, somewhere in between. Same thing. Oh, before I forget, Shogun on Netflix, highly recommend, 10 out of 10. So if you're looking for something to watch, I don't know why it came into my head. I think they're spending a lot of time on the floor. Maybe that's where it came from. And then finally take that left foot so the left toes are pointing straight ahead. You're in a traditional low lunge. Good. And hands on the top of the thigh or on some support of a chair, pelvis, whatever feels best to you. Again, you're going to feel this now more in the opposite hip. Take your time. Good. And simply switch sides. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Right leg goes out to the right, but make sure your hips still face forward. They don't rotate, right? So you'll notice right off the bat, it's like, whoa, why doesn't lefty do the same thing as righty did, or righty do the same thing as left do? Because we're not balanced, are we? Wouldn't that be wonderful? If we were, there would be no physical therapists out there, right? Good. And then again, wiggle your right foot closer to the front of your mat. Lunge deeply. Let the knee go over the toes. Nothing terrible is going to happen here. As long as you're moving within your pain-free range of motion, which is unique to you. Good. And then finally, right foot facing straight ahead. That's it, Dina. Good. In and out. Nice too. Nancy, I can't see you. You do have a lovely bedroom though. Do you Airbnb that out? All right, nice job, team. From here, remember that resistance band? That was a unique and novel add. You're gonna grab your resistance band. If it's a long loop, you're simply gonna tie it hip width apart. So have a seat on your chair. One of the first rules of thumb when you're strength training in any capacity, yoga, Pilates, is we want to kind of wake up the muscles that are primarily responsible for one of our functional movements. All right, hamstrings and glutes. So have a seat to do this. I'll give you all a moment. So you're tying it hip width apart, and it should be snug at that point. And if not, and you have a loop resistance band, you're chilling out. Good. I'm going to grab a sip of water. We did this last week or the week before. And one of the classes you're going to come to stand at the far edge of your mat. I'll show from this angle. Hands on your hips. You're going to hinge forward. So keep your knees relatively straight, right? Slight bend in them, but it's not a full squat, okay? So do it with me. Stand tall. Hinge forward slightly, like 15 degrees. Then bend the knees ever so slightly. Good. That's your setup. Core is turned on. Hands on hips, elbows back. Step to the left. Bring your right foot in, but only a couple of centimeters. Step to the left a couple centimeters, step to the right a couple centimeters. So you're just kind of inching to the opposite edge, but you're keeping the continual tension. That's it, Karen, right? So for some of you, you're gonna start feeling this in your low back if you're not engaging through the core, in which case stand up, reset, go back, okay? So you can either stay in this hingy squat. Don't step your feet close together. They're not friends right now. We're trying to keep them separate. So it's the tiniest little steps, and just keep going side to side until you're starting to feel the things waking up. Keep the tension with that right leg as your left leg stretches out. Anybody feeling this yet? Hands up if you do. Oh, yes, okay, I'm seeing some people. So maybe it's time for a tighter resistance band for those who are not feeling it yet, because I'm like trying to smile through the discomfort. Okay, have a seat, remove your band, move it off to the side. Great thing to do before you go on a hike or a walk, just to bring some awareness into the hip. And you're welcome to either stand with your back to the wall or with your hand on a support of a chair. If your balance is really good today, pull one knee in, lower it. Pull the other knee in, lower it. Good. Yep, perfect. Think about that connection to your core as you exhale. You lift a knee. Keep going. Shoulders upright. You're not rolling forward. There's none of this going to meet the knee. The knee is trying to meet the chest, and it's not rolling those shoulders forward. For 5, good. 4, keep going. Flex those ankles. 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Really focusing on that hip hinge mechanics there. We're going to do the same thing. Let's build our shelf right where our hips flexed, meaning they bent, right? That's where your shelf is. Good. Now from here, hinge forward and then that soft bend in your knee and stand up. So it's a weird hingy squat. Yeah. So down and up. Those birds in the garden. Boop, 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 right? What are they called? The bird, I don't know. You've seen them. They got a name. Good. Keep going. Hinge. Shoulders back, elbows back. Good. 5. So the knees bend ever so slightly. 4. I want you to think about your feet pushing into the ground to stand up. 2. Good. 1. Come back to Tadasana. From here, we're going to use the chair. Move this out of the way. Find your mountain pose or your Tadasana with your knees or shins, depending on how tall your chair is. I'm 5'7" and my knees just touch it. Okay, so your knees are up against the edge of the chair, and hopefully you have a backrest to one side. So with one hand or the other, you can hold the chair for some extra stability. Nice, we're all set up. So we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna do it on one foot. So you're gonna step your left foot back, but keep your right knee where it is, team. So let's do it together. Both knees to the chair again. Step your left foot back. So it's like a baby high lunge. You're on the toe mounds of that left foot. Your left heel is elevated. Now let's find that little hinge again. But your right knee stays on the chair the whole time, correct? Come back up. Step back with the left foot a little bit more, another centimeter. Good. Keep your right knee on the seat of the chair. Hinge a little bit. come back up. Step back a little bit further. Yeah, you get it, right? Hinge, come up. Now we're gonna go back to starting. Left leg is gonna step forward a couple of centimeters. Hinge, push that right foot into the ground, stand up. Step forward another couple centimeters. Hinge, come back up. Good. And now your left leg and right leg are on the chair, yeah? So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'll show you here from this angle. I'm holding onto the chair with one hand. My left knee is now gonna stay pressed against the seat of the chair, and I'm gonna hinge and come up. Take my right foot back a couple of centimeters. Build that kickstand. Hinge and come up. Good. Step back a little bit further for me, Dina. What's going on with that left knee? It's pushing forward against the seat of the chair. Hinge, come up, and now we go back with the right foot. A few centimeters at a time. Keep that left knee pressing into the seat of the chair. Hinge, come back up. Step your feet together. Good. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing, except you're gonna grab some load. So the weights, which should be off in a corner somewhere, you're just gonna need one. Sorry, I thought someone said something. So now we're gonna go back to the original exercise. We're gonna keep that right foot on the seat of the chair. We're gonna do reciprocal work. So if my right knee is on the chair, there's different ways to load yourself in lunges. Your opposite hand is gonna hold the weight. More because we're using a chair than anything else. So right knee stays on the chair, left hand is holding your weight, shoulders back, step back with your left foot. Left hand is holding the weight, right knee is on the chair. Repeat it after me. I see some people doing the opposite, but okay. Hinge, come up. Step back with the left foot a little bit more. Hinge, come up. Step back last time. Hinge, push your tush back, Sandy, and come up, and then go back where you started. Step forward, hinge, come up. That left arm is straight as an arrow, right? You're not bending the elbow. Good. Good, so let's do the other now. So the right knee presses up against the chair. Your shin is parallel on that side. Your ankle is right underneath your knee. Right? So now your left knee is on the chair. Your right hand is holding the weight. Same thing. Let's go, team. Hinge, push your tush back, come back up. Find your kickstand, hinge, come back up. Please use the support of the chair. Right? Step forward, hinge, come back up. If you need a reference, have a look. I'm demoing this for you because I know it gets a little weird. Hinge, come back up. Good. Perfect. I want you to do that one more time. What's up with it, Sandy? Speak. In what position? When it's pressing against the chair or when it's behind you? When it's bent behind you. When you press it against the chair? Everybody, go ahead and do yours. Sandy, I can't hear you because you're not speaking. You just muted yourself. If you want to stick around, take a break, Sandy. So it's reciprocal. Okay, okay, okay. So again, if your right knee is on the chair, your left hand is holding the weight, you're going to hinge 3 times back, 3 times forward, and do the same thing on the other side. I want to watch you. And if you're done, you can do another set. Nice, Karen. So the goal is to keep your shin perpendicular to the floor, right? So that the knee up here and the ankle down here are stacked and your shin is vertical. Then there's literally no load on that knee. It's all hamstrings and glutes. That's it. Nice, nice, Giselle. Good. All right, put your weights down for me. This is coming to something. This is culminating in a posture that you all know. Now, and hopefully you have a back to your chair. If you don't, you're gonna have to do this maybe against the wall. You're gonna stand with both knees up against the seat of the chair. So your mission, if you choose to accept it, see my ankles where they're positioned in relationship to my knee. Knee, ankle, shin is vertical. Nothing's gonna change from the knee down, but I am gonna hold my chair. I'm gonna hinge and push my tush back. Not a lot. Just that same little like 15 degree, maybe 20 degree, push your tush back. Push your feet into the ground to stand up straight. Yes. Good. Now, what I'm seeing is a little bit of arching. So remember, come to stand team. Remember when some of us lied on our back and maybe we kind of felt a little bit like this. So like our chin was up, maybe our back was kind of arched a little bit, and we go into default. If that's some of us, go into that default. When we hinge, we lead with our breastbone or our ribs. So what I'm gonna ask you to do, everybody, even if you don't, I'm gonna ask you to take your hands and place them on your rib cage. So whatever you're feeling now should not change. If you're feeling a little bit more pressure when you hinge, and I'm going to show an example of someone who might arch their back, I feel a little bit more pressure if I'm pushing back with my hands and I come into my hinge squat, which we'll call something else soon. You can feel a little bit more of my body pressing into my palms. So we don't want that. We want to keep this kind of tucked in. So find that tension in through that abdominal so that there is no more extension in the spine, because that's when it's going to start hurting your low back. Making sure your feet are ample distance apart. I do not want narrow feet, at least hip width. Let's see, Dina. Walk your feet closer to the chair. Can you see how your knees are coming off the chair? Yeah, it's almost like you're shimmying your toes underneath. There you go. We'll get more booty that way. Knees on the chair. Tush back. Squeeze your shoulders back, Sue-E. Good. Nice. Now, let's do one more thing in here, and then we're going to move over to our wall. So same thing. Ankle is underneath knees, knees stay where they are, but this time I'm going to sit back and reach one arm forward as much as I can, alternating arm. One arm, maybe the other arm can hold on to the chair. So maybe some of you are starting to get familiar with what posture this could turn into in a yoga context that is functional, right? So the more you keep your knees connected, the more you're gonna feel your hamstrings and glutes working. That's it, Nancy. Remember that extension in through your spine. We don't want that. It's not too much of that happening. Good, nice, Giselle. Nancy's cat is primping herself. She's just making herself so beautiful. All the licking. Nice job, team. Come on up. All right, do you start to see what we're working into, team? You're gonna take now your back to the wall. So I'm gonna show from this angle. And I'm gonna step my feet out so that from my pelvis to my head, it's like I'm lying on the floor. Now, maybe your head doesn't touch and that's okay, but I want your ribs and your spine connected to the wall right now. Nothing is gonna change in your pelvis. You're not gonna jam your low back in. You're gonna keep that gorgeous neutral spine. And then from there, let's make some cactus arms. If you can get the back of your hands on the wall, great. If you can't, that's okay. If you're dealing with shoulder injury, you might be thinking of bringing your elbows below your shoulder, okay? If not, you can start in like a cactus position. And you're simply gonna slide that one arm up as high as you can, keeping the back of the hand or at least the forearm on the wall, and then bring it back down. Exhale, reach. Inhale to lower. Keep going. Exhale. Connect with the core on your exhalation. That's your belly, your diaphragm. helping to keep that sense of stability so we can find the mobility that's real and authentic to our upper body. One arm at a time. We reach and we bring it back. And we reach and bring it back. Good. Keep going. Alternate. Remember, we're trying not to arch our back, so we're actually laying on the wall and our feet are slightly further away from the wall, unless you're going to go through glass, in which case do not. Good. Perfect. This is where you're going to need, for those of you who are at a window, you will not be doing this at a window. You need to find a door. You're simply going to come to that wall position again and walk those feet out, hip width apart, until we can find a sustainable wall sit. So maybe it's not 90 degrees, right? 90 degrees would be if my thighs were parallel to the floor and the ceiling, and that's hard, right? So maybe you're more at this angle. So it's a lesser angle. It may be more challenging for the knees. One's gonna challenge the quadriceps, one's gonna challenge the knees more. And you're just gonna breathe. So gazing straight ahead, close your eyes. Hands can relax by your side or on your thighs, whatever works. And just connect with your breath. Feel your feet grounded. Sense the challenge and know that it's supposed to be challenging. It's not supposed to be easy, but such is life. We need to grow, right? And that's how growth happens, through challenge. Inhale and exhale through the nose. One more breath for me, team. You've got this. Good. Take your hands to the wall on either side of your hips. Push away from the wall and come to stand. And let's shake out those legs. Shake them out. Shake them out. You're going to need your chair next. Potentially, you may need a couple of blankets. So that's, we'll have to see. How we doing so far? Can we have a water break? So you can see we're working our way to powerful pose, otherwise known to as Utkatasana in Sanskrit, which is chair pose, yes? So from here, just find a seat on a chair. I like to sit kind of halfway from the back, so just come forward a little bit. Feet are hip width apart. Let's find that nice tall posture. And so maybe today your knees are like grumpy for any number of reasons, and this is your chair pose, right? And what we're all going to do together is hinge with that flat back, just a few degrees, 10, 15, 20 degrees, I would say. I don't know, I'm not a mathematician. And then come forward. Again, hands on your rib cage, please. Sit upright, nice and tall, shoulders slightly back, and hinge with that flat back. Push your feet into the floor and come right back up. Couple more times, hinge. And so I want you to do this in a pain-free range of motion. I do not want you to do this if it's going to cause any discomfort, right? And now let's add the arms, just because this may be where you stay today. You're going to hinge and reach one arm up and come back down. And the other arm up and come back down. And then both arms up and come back down. Let's do it again. Big breath in, get nice and tall with me. One arm, two arms. That's how we're doing it. Reach, hinge, reach. Push your feet into the floor, come right back up. Other side, reach, try to straighten that arm. Spread those fingers, let's see those jazz hands. Come back up. Good, both hands, spread those fingers. Ta-da! Come back up one more time, because I like this. So one arm, reach. Push, sit upright. Hinge, reach. Push your feet down, come upright. Both arms if it's available to you. Good. So maybe that's good enough for you and you're like, that's great. I'm gonna stay there today. But what if I said to you, the seat just got like dialed up. You're in the car and all of a sudden someone put the seat on and it happened really fast and you're like, whoa, and you're gonna come up. So let's see if we can kind of come forward and hover off the chair for a moment. Float. Now, could you imagine for me that there's another chair in front of you? Watch for 1 second, team. I don't want those knees to go here. Do you see what happened to my shins? They became vertical, not vertical anymore, right? So I still want this verticality of my shins. I still want to imagine there's someone kind of gently pressing my knees back. And in fact, I recall doing this way back, probably 20 years ago in a yoga class. We partnered up and someone held our knees, right? But we had no chair. So today we're using a chair. So we're gonna go, maybe you're gonna use your arms and you're gonna help float off the chair. Yes. Watch that spinal extension. Remember, another pair of hands on your rib cage. And you're gonna come off, not quite as much, Sandy. Yeah, less than that. Nice, Giselle. So you're gonna have to really push your feet down, squeeze your bum to get up. Whew. And the nice thing is your arms kind of help you here, right? Yeah, so now we're gonna come up and we're gonna see if we can freeze frame. So we're gonna hold it, tuck our ribs in, reach through our arms, one or both. If you're just doing one arm, you're gonna alternate, right? One arm down, other arm down, and then we're gonna sit down. Good. Do it again. Push off the chair, hover, raise your arms, tuck your ribs in, reach through the fingertips for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, have a seat. So good, right? So I'm really trying to focus on getting this movement out of your back, trying to maintain the neutral spine position. If you're not sure if that's happening, I can't see it, any spine extension, but you may go back to just trying a couple with your hands on your ribs. And then if you're certain that you're not arching your back and pushing your chest forward, Karen, do me a favor, just Karen, please listen to me. Just Karen only. I want you to just kind of roll forward a little bit. Just that much. And now try to get up. Better. And down. So it's just specific to you, right? Okay. Because all of our bodies are different. Ooh. Okay. Holy moly. Move that chair out of the way. Good. Fun, right? Functional hip hinge. Yeah, Karen, stick around after. We can talk about that, but if you have time, if not, no worries. We can chat later. So now we're gonna go into hinge and sit back. So it's like a squatty hinge. So we're gonna go into our powerful pose, which is a slight sit back, but the knees are not moving forward. See, in a squat, your knees would go forward a little bit, right? And that's why I'm calling it a squatty hinge, Utkatasana. Because come on up, if you were to squat, your knees would go forward. But in powerful pose, the knees stay vertical, right on top of the ankles. Good. Chest up, Dina. Yeah, not quite so deep of a hinge. Remember our hinge is like 15 degrees, maybe 20. Good. Perfect. So we're gonna come to stand now before we move on. Feet hip width apart. Good. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale down. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale down. Last time. Inhale, sweep those arms wide and as high up as you can. Exhale down. Step back with your right foot a couple of centimeters. Step back with your left foot a couple of centimeters. And then find your final destination. Maybe it's about 2 feet apart. And instead of hinging forward now, we're gonna squeeze our butt cheek, our right butt cheek, and push our hips forward so that our shoulders are on top of our hips. So no longer are we doing this that we were doing in powerful pose. We're upright. Good. Take our cactus arms out to the side. Good. Bring the forearms together. Bring the forearms apart. Good. Together and apart. Challenging our balance and coordination. That's our theme in a lot of our work this week. wide. Last time. Together and apart. Good, and maybe your arms reach overhead. Step your feet together. Find your powerful pose. Reach. Tummy in. Remember, Karen, if you're sitting in powerful pose, you're gonna round just slightly, which is really neutral for most of us. Yes. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands come together. Legs straighten, hands to heart. Good. Again, inhale, circle sweep those arms wide. Exhale, down by your side. 2 more times with me, Monica. Inhale. Exhale. We got to stretch out those quads today, huh? Inhale. Exhale. Hands can come to your hips or support of a chair. You're going to step that opposite foot back now. So your left foot's going to come back onto your toe mans a little bit. Then maybe you go back a little bit further and maybe even a little bit further. And instead of being in that pitch position, we're going to tuck our tailbone slightly under, drive our hips forward, and then bring our arms into our cactus position. Good. Again, together. Feel the upper back broaden. Take those elbows slightly back behind your shoulders. So you feel the shoulder blades squeeze. Good. Together, broaden and contract. Ooh, I know. You're okay, Dina. Together and apart. Good. Step your feet together. Find your powerful pose. For 3, reach, 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 Monica. 2 and 1, and come to stand. Shake out those legs. One more sequence before we cool down. Grab both of your weights and potentially a sip of water before you do that. Movement prescription. Somebody's got to remind me today before I forget. From mountain pose or Tadasana, your weights, remember they're going to be on the lighter side because our small bicep muscles. Someone said to me recently they haven't been able to progress past 5 pounds. We need to focus a little bit more on increasing the load, decreasing the load rather, increasing the repetitions until that becomes easy. And that's how we do that, right? We start light with higher repetitions. From here, turn your palms to face me. Feel the shoulder blades slightly contract. Keep your armpits as tight to your body as you can, right? And we're gonna bicep curl and then lower. Good, and again, use your exhale, soft bend in the knees and lower. Nothing changes about your upper back. Bicep curl is a pull mechanic. Now, right arm is going to rotate. So you're gonna turn your right palm to face me, push up to the sky. Good, bring that right arm down. Rotate the palm to face behind you. Let's do the other side. Rotate the left arm, push up, bring it down. Face the behind, palm faces behind, and lower. Good. So simultaneous bicep curl. I'll come a little bit closer. Right palm is gonna spin, so you're pivoting, rotating that elbow. Push overhead, bring it back. Rotate the weight so your palm faces behind. Do the same thing on the other side. Rotate. Good. Bring it back. Good. Lower the weights together. 2 more times. Here we go. Exhale, right arm, rotate, spin and push. Lower and release. Again, rotate, push. Oh, sorry, this one was supposed to be up here, wasn't it? And lower and down. 1 more time. Okay, right arm bicep curl, left arm bicep curl simultaneously. Spin. I'm so busy looking at form, I'm forgetting what I'm doing. Push. Lower, rotate, other arm, rotate, push, lower, together, bicep curl extended. So again, put those down. Bicep curl is a pull. Rotation overhead is our push, overhead push, okay? So push, pull, hinge, and squat. Pretty functional things. Let's put it back all together. Shake out those arms, shake out those legs. From the top, turn your palms to face away from your body. Let's get that nice, tall, proud posture, standing nice and tall. Inhale, circle, sweep those arms wide and up. As you exhale, hinge, forward fold. Keep your knees roughly over your ankles. Take your hands to your thighs and straighten the elbows. As you inhale, head up, look up. As you exhale, softly bend the elbows. Press your feet into the ground. Come to stand, circle, sweep those arms wide enough. Exhale, hands to your heart. Take your right foot back behind you. Keep your hands on your heart. If you need some support, by all means, use your chair or wall. You're going to find that hinge. We're going to be that bird in the garden. Push into your front foot, come back up. Step back a little bit more. Hinge. Push into that front foot, stand back up. We're all putting our dishes away in the dishwasher. Final lunge position. Step back as far as you comfortably can. Hinge. Keep that knee over the ankle. Come upright. This time, we're gonna tuck that tailbone under, front of the hips are open, and let's find that cactus position with the arms. Good. Reach them up and pull them in. Good. Reach them up. Jazz hands. Pull them in. Good. Last time, reach them up. Pull them in. Step forward with your right foot. Push your hips back. Remember this position. The knees are on an imaginary chair, either one arm and then the other arm or both arms forward. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your arms, straighten your legs, come back up. Last time on the other side. Inhale, reach those arms wide enough. Exhale, forward fold, flat back. This is our half fold position. Hands on the thighs. Inhale, head up, look up. Exhale to bow. Push your feet into the ground. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, hands to the heart. We're doing the other side now. So right foot back or left foot back, Tina? Right foot, left foot? I got mixed up. Okay, so right foot goes back just a smidge and we're gonna hinge. Oh, I know, because this feels weird. I always go with my dominant side. Other side, bring that foot back, hinge, flat back. Come on up, one last time. Step back to your furthest comfortable distance, maintaining feet hip width apart. Find that hinge. Push your feet into the ground. Remember, we're slightly tucking the tailbone under, taking the arms out to the side in a cactus position. Good. From here, we're going to reach up. Pull those elbows down, opening up the chest. Squeeze the shoulder blades back. Inhale. Exhale. One more time for me. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Step your feet together. Let's find our final powerful pose for 5, 4, head up, look up. 3, come up a little bit higher, Dina. 2, that's it, Nancy. 1, hands to your heart, shoulders down and back. Pause. Grab a quick sip of water. We're finding our way down to the floor, so kindly get the support that you need. Sandy, I saw you had your hand raised. Do you have a question? You're unmuted, so if you have a question, go ahead and ask. Otherwise, we'll talk later. So, for those of you who prefer some support underneath your pelvis so you can sit comfortably on the ground, for those of you who are not comfortable on the ground, don't sit on the ground. Sit on a chair. Okay? There's always choices for you. Feet are hip width apart. Some of us are lying down in Shavasana, and that's okay. If that's where you need to be, go ahead. Otherwise, we're sitting upright. You're welcome to use the back of a door. You're welcome to use the back of a sofa, or you can use your own abdominal strength to hold yourself upright. Fingertips to the floor on either sides of your hips. Ankles are flexed. What I'd like you to do is try to push your knees more towards the floor. So the backs of the knees have a little bit of space, right? We're trying to open the space in the backs of the knees, so almost like you're pushing down, unless it causes pain, in which case do not, right? But otherwise, we really want to focus on opening through the backs of the knees. Good. Spread the toes. You can make jazz hands out of your toes now. Shoulders back and down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet are slightly wider now. We're doing everything gradually, but the ankles are flexed, the toes are vibrant and alive. Inner knees or back of the knees are pushing down. Reach your heels away from you, but keep your heels on the ground. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can we go a little further? I don't know, right? Sometimes back in the day, we used to kind of pull the flesh back and underneath us so we can get our sit bones more connected. If that feels like it's relevant or helpful for you, go ahead. But I want you to, again, reach through the heels, draw the toes back, use your fingertips as some support. Chest is lifted. Good, take a few breaths. 3, 2, 1. Good, take your right foot, bring it in, bend your knee. Yep, take your left leg, bring it in. So the challenge here is keeping those ankles flexed, okay? It'll help support and engage more muscles, so it helps support your knees, right? And the farther your heels are away from your pelvis, the more accessible it may be. So you can choose if you prefer. If you're in already a supine position, you're welcome to do cobbler's pose, knees wide, feet together. Otherwise, see how close you can bring your heels towards your pelvis without compromising the position of your pelvis, right? A lot of us will get the heels to our pelvis, but then our sit bones are like facing the camera. We're rounding our spine, and we don't want that. Okay, so see how far you can go in a comfortable position. Close your eyes, ground through the sit bones, ground through the soles of your feet and the outer edges of your feet, which are like karate chopping the floor, if you will, for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. Take your hands, bring your legs together, transition onto your back, please. If you need anything to make yourself comfortable besides a blanket underneath your head, please feel free to do that. Grab what you need to support yourself. And we're going to start, or finish rather, where we started. From our supine position, knees bent, I want you to hug right knee in towards your right armpit. And hold the left knee in towards your left armpit. So again, under the knees is nice if you have knee sensitivity. Otherwise, from here, we're just going to open and close the books of our knees. So knees come together, knees come wide. Together and wide. And maybe even, I like this one, if I place my hands on the tops of my knees, I can circle my thigh bone in my pelvis, making nice big circles. The trick is to let go of those hip flexors. They tend to be really tight and they hold on, they grip here. So if you can manage to bring your mind's eye to the connection of your thigh bone into your pelvis and see if you can just kind of soften there and change direction of your circles. 2. And 1. Good. From here, place your feet on the floor. Let your knees fall open to the side if that's comfortable and relevant for you. If you feel it's uncomfortable on your low back, please don't do that. We're going to come to stand to finish the class, just so we can get our quads stretched nicely. Otherwise, place your hands on your belly. Let your knees collapse in towards one another or in the opposite in our cobblers, and close your eyes. Taking a few breaths here. I want it to feel effortless and at ease, and so if that means letting your palms fall open to the sky, with any luck, you're feeling a little bit more of your body in connection with the earth, maybe even a little bit more supported. See for the next couple of minutes if you can pause, or float is another word I like to use. Float in the spaces in between your inhale and your exhale. So it's not so much of a holding of your breath or a forceful exhalation. It's just this slight, tiny suspension of your breath. Like before you let the air out of your lungs, you just kind of float there for a second before you deeply exhale all the way out. And then a little pause there before you receive the breath again, filling up your lungs, filling up your body. Final breath here, team. If your eyes were closed, open your eyes, bring your feet together, and transition to a sideline position, pressing yourself up. Finishing in a 4-point kneel position to get a little bit of a quadriceps stretch. So what I'd like for you to do is curl your toes under, just like we've been focusing on flexing our ankles, and reach your hips as far back as you can. And again, as far back as you can without pain is really our objective. So you're flexing your knees, getting a little bit more stretch in the front of the quads, a gentle stretch. Almost like you're mimicking a variation of a child's pose. Another couple breaths. And then when you're ready, come on up to a standing position. Grab a quick sip of water. Nice job, team. You did great. Movement prescription. Ready for it? Every day this week. It literally can be done while you're running your bath. Anybody else a bath person? That's just me, I think. I love baths. Daily sequence. Starting position, stand with your feet hip width apart. You can do it next to a counter. You're gonna rise up onto your toe mounds for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're gonna lift your heels 5 times. And then on your 5th time, when your heels land, you're gonna come into your powerful pose and hold it. Remember, tummy is in, hips are back, knees, imaginary chair. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 3, 2, 1. So hold for 3 to 5 breaths and stand. And repeat that sequence 3 times. Again, heel raises 5 times, settle into powerful pose, and hold it for 3 to 5 breaths. And you do that 3 rounds. You could do it while you're brushing your teeth. You could. Yeah? Making your Keurig. Nice job, team. If you have any questions, stick around. I'm always here for you.